Hello friends, in this discussion we are going to look at complex numbers, and the type of complex numbers we are going to look in particular are Cartesian complex numbers, and these are numbers of the form z is equal to a plus jb, where z is a complex number and a and b are real numbers. Then j is equal to, we know that j is equal to root of -1. Now this complex number z has got two parts, namely the real part, which is a, and the imaginary part, which is b. For us to get these members, we can always say real of z. The real part of z is a, and the imaginary part of z is b. For example, if you look at z equal to 5 plus j6, it means the real part of z is equal to 5 and the imaginary part of z is equal to 6. So these are what we call complex numbers, where you have that a plus jb, where a and b are real numbers, then j is the square root of -1. Now what we call the conjugate of a complex. The conjugate of a complex number, if we have z equal to a plus jb, then the conjugate of z, which we can express as z star, is equal to a minus jb. What we always do, you just look at z or the complex number, then change the sign that is at the imaginary part. In other words, if we look at a plus jb, the conjugate of this complex number will be a minus jb. Likewise, if I had z equal to a minus jb, then it means its conjugate will be a plus jb. Just interchanging these two signs and you are good to go. So if z is equal to 2 plus j3, then it means the conjugate of z, which is equal to z star, we can express it as 2 minus j3. Just look at this sign. If it is negative, you make it positive. If it is positive in the conjugate, it will become negative. So let us move ahead. If z is equal to 3 minus j2, then z star is equal to 3 plus j2. Now let us look at where do complex numbers come. These complex numbers come as a result of solving quadratic equations, where you have a quadratic equation with complex roots. What do we mean? If it has a complex root, it means this b squared minus 4ac is always less than 0. So that when you take a square root, you always find somewhere -1 as a multiple of that component. So if we look at the example of x squared plus 2x plus 5 equals 0, this is a quadratic equation. You can see that, for example, in that equation, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, and c is equal to 5. If I substitute in that equation b squared minus 4ac, you'll find that component is less than 0. Meaning that if you take its root, you'll get somewhere -i. Therefore, if we substitute it in the quadratic bulldozer formula, which is always x equal to -b plus o minus b squared minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. If I substitute in here, we'll get x equal to -2 out of 2 plus square root of 16, because this is 2 squared, minus 20, so this will give you -16. So if I let it to be square root of 16, then I multiply it by root of -1, then I have not changed anything. Therefore, at the end of the day, I have x equal to -1 plus or minus 2 root of negative 1, which will give you negative 1 plus or minus 2j. And those two numbers, these are complex numbers. So they always come from some of those quadratic equations that have got what we call complex roots. So if a quadratic equation has complex roots, it always results into complex. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next lecture.